Today we'll practice graphing absolute value functions. Absolute value functions are very unique and very similar to graphing quadratic functions because they are symmetrical. So an absolute value function is a graph in the shape of a V. The vertex is the point where the graph changes direction. In order to find the absolute value button on your calculator, we're going to think of LOL. So let's practice graphing a couple of different absolute value functions and finding the vertex. Okay, so we are going to go to our calculator and we are going to type in the absolute value of x minus 2. So please go home, new document, and we're going to add a graph. If you want to just watch me now, that's fine. So in order to get to the absolute value button, we're going to go to the right of the 9. This is called the template button. And when I tell you to think LOL, that's this button right here. Okay, that to me kind of looks like LOL. So I'm going to hit enter. Now I'm going to input the equation x minus 2. Okay, and I'm going to hit enter. So again, I can see that this absolute value function is in the shape of a V. I'm going to hit Control T to go to my table. Now to find the vertex, hopefully you remember that we need the top and bottom y values to match. Right now 1 and 3 do not match, so I'm going to try pressing the up arrow, just trying. 2 and 2, those match. 1 and 1, those match. So my vertex is this point 2, 0 in the middle where I have no match. Okay, so the vertex is the point 2, 0. Now let's go ahead and let's graph negative x. Okay, so I'm going to turn my table off. So Control T turns it on, turns it off. If I press the up arrow, or let's see, the tab arrow, I can then get back to type in my equation. So I'm actually going to just delete that. Then I don't have to start all over again. And now I'm typing in the template button to bring up LOL, and I'm typing in negative x, enter. So again, absolute value graphs are a V shape. I'm going to now hit Control T to bring up my table, and I need to find where my top and bottom y values match. They still don't match. They still don't match. Now they match. 2 and 2 match. 1 and 1 match. The point 0, 0 is my vertex. Okay. Now I'm going to graph 2 out in front of the absolute value, and then inside the absolute value is going to be x plus 6. So again, I'm going to press Control T to turn off my table. I'm going to hit the up arrow. I'm going to hit the tab arrow, and now the up arrow. So now I can delete this. Okay, so now remember that the 2 is going before my absolute value bars. Okay, then I'm just verifying my formula. It's x plus 6 in the absolute value bar, so I'm hitting my template button, LOL, x plus 6, enter. So now I can see my graph. Okay, it's still a V shape, so I'm going to hit Control T. Now I need to figure out what my vertex is by finding my top and bottom y values to match. Still don't match. No, no, no. 2 and 10 still don't match. 0 and 8 do not match. 2 and 6 do not match. 4 and 4, those match. So 4 and 4 match. 2 and 2 match. So negative 6, 0 is my vertex. Okay. And finally, my last equation. Okay, I'm going to type in the absolute value of x plus 1 with a minus 4 outside the bars. I want you to go and try this one. Please press pause and come back and press play when you're ready. Okay, so hopefully at this point you've tried this on your own and you got that the vertex is negative 1, negative 4. Now let's talk about what you notice about the equation and the vertex. Now I wrote different same. I'm not sure if you exactly figured out what I mean by that. Let's talk about this. Okay, so I'm going to use some arrows just to show you here. So the opposite, I should have maybe wrote opposite instead of different. The opposite of negative 2 is positive 2, And the same, what's outside these bars is nothing, so that's 0. Okay? What's inside the absolute value bars? Nothing, so that's 0. What's outside the bars? Nothing, so that's 0. What's inside the bars? I need the opposite. The opposite of a positive 6 is a negative 6. What's outside the bars? Nothing, that's 0. What's inside? Positive 1. What's the opposite? Negative 1. What's outside the bars? Negative 4. That stays the same. Now, this is not something you have to memorize because you can always go to your calculator, you can always graph this, and you can always find your vertex in the table. But this is just something that I think is kind of cool for you to be able to notice about absolute value functions. All right, so let's go ahead and let's practice graphing the absolute value of x minus 5. Now you'll see I have my table filled in, but this would be something you would have to do on your own. This would not be given to you. And we will include arrows on this function because there is no restricted domain. Remember that a restricted domain would be, I'll show you an example, would be something like at the end here, like maybe they said only graph from -3 to, let's say, +2. Okay, remember it would have an x here with a +2. Now, because it does not have this restricted domain, which I'm going to erase so we don't get confused, but because it doesn't have a restricted domain, that means that when we go to graph this, this graph will have arrows. So please practice going to your calculator and typing in the absolute value of x minus 5. Make sure you agree with my table. If anyone finds an error with this table or anything I've done in this lesson, you can always earn a Nichols Nice Box. Okay? Then what I want you to do is I want you to graph these points, and we'll talk about what I mean by x and y intercepts, and then I'm going to let you graph this on your own before we're done. Okay, an x-intercept is where the graph hits the x-axis. A y-intercept is where the graph hits the y-axis. So this is not anything different than when we go to graph a linear function, for example. Okay, so when you go to graph these, this is what you should be finding. I will know that you actually watched and completed the entire notes for this lesson because your graph will be completed and mine is not. Okay, so please go ahead and finish by graphing this, okay, in your calculator, making sure your table agrees with mine, and then go ahead and plot your points, remembering that it should have arrows. Once you're done with that, you're done for now, and we'll talk about this when we see each other in class.